Okay, first off, I want to thank the grace of heaven and the virtues of the masters, the mercy of the grand predecessors, transmitting masters, and everyone. To finally, we can wrap up this topic on the shower of wisdom. Okay, so this is basically the last chapter. So he's talking about cultivation of fate, yeah, both fate and soul. Okay, that's what this is talking about. All right, so here, holy teacher, right, says, all of you have cultivated yourselves for a long time. Well, okay, maybe not everyone yet, but so do you know what the advantages are of cultivating according to this Tao, and why you should be cultivating according to the Tao? The intention, okay, is a misspelling here, but the intention for a person according to Tao is to cultivate his virtues, to transcend this mundane world, and to attain, sainthood or saintliness or holiness. That is necessary to cultivate both the fate and the soul. Okay, so what is this when he's talking about fate? Okay. So the soul and fate have different characters. Okay, so first to talk about fate. So when a person is born into this world, inevitably fate arranges his life. So that we're talking about like karmic fate, right? So when we're born, so again, we accept there's the idea of reincarnation, so past lives. So depending on what we did in past lives, that's karma, right? The karma, and then that determines what happens to us in this life. And so we call that fate, or we really karmic fate. Okay, it's caused by karma, the things that are predestined. Okay, the composition of fate is the driving power of karma. It is also the burden of one's previous life's deeds, right? And the condition for the performance of the five virtues, which are, this is what Confucius talks about, the five constants: the benevolence, righteousness, propriety, and wisdom. And well, here it uses honesty or faith. Yeah, faith. Or you could say sincerity. Okay. So these are something that these five, why they're constants is that we all have them because we have that Buddha nature. Okay. So it's not, has not, well, okay, it's also related to us being human beings too. Okay, so all right, so all these in turn will produce good fortune or bad, blessings or disasters, wealth or poverty, eminence or obscurity. If a person practices the five virtues, then fate will produce for him good fortune, wealth, nobleness, longevity, and eminence. If a person acts contrary to the five virtues, then fate will produce for him bad luck, poverty, baseness, short life, and obscurity. So these are basically talking about, well, I mean, of course, what we do now is very important, but basically our fate was determined by what we did previously. So obviously in previous life, if we didn't follow, put into practice these five virtues, then, maybe our life now is not so good, as it says here. But of course, we can also kind of change this karmic fate, if you will, change our destiny, have a new destiny by what we do now. Okay, so that's also important. All right, so here you talk about, okay, there are two types of fate. There's the invisible fate. That's the stuff, okay, so it says sources are less obvious and therefore we cannot see them. Okay, so this is basically talking about the karmic fate that from past lives. Okay, so nevertheless, this invisible fate, such as disasters or illness, always exists. Someone might ask, what did I do in my previous lives that make me suffer so many troubles or distress in this life? Okay, such a question shows the karmic reaction of how a person's past lives influence his present life. Thus, if a person wants to know what he has done in his previous lives, he can find the answer in the things that fate delivers to him in this world, in this birth, in this life. All right. If a person wants to know his future, then he can find the answer in the actions and deeds he has performed in this life. Right. So these are kind of, you can say these are the set things, right, based on karma of past lives, things that we've done previously that kind of determine. Let's say, when we're born, we're not everyone is born equal, right? And the conditions are different. Everything's different, and then some people may be born with, disabilities, things like that. So again, these are, or some people they're born, with basically proverbial silver spoon in the mouth, right? So all these were determined by past lives. Okay, so that's something that's what this is talking about, because we didn't see, right? We didn't see those the karma from the past, but we only see in this life. Oh, they're born in these different conditions, situations, and so that's what they call this invisible fate, right? So sometimes it's hard, for people to really to accept, I don't know, to accept that, oh, there is this karma, is that they might say it's luck, it's pure chance. I mean, it's just whatever, that things are the way they are. But okay, but then there's the other fate, which is kind of visible, has visible causes, right? So when people get into conflict, right, and they fight each other, maybe they want to kill each other, or then maybe a person acts on something and then they broke the law, they killed someone, whatever, then they end up in jail, right, for committing some crimes. Or if we do some good stuff, then we get praised for what we did. All these are immediate repayments for the things a person has done. The source of such fate are very clear, and thus we can see them easily. So obviously, this is also cause and effect, right? So cause and effect is the basic underlying principle of what results in karma. Or it can be like in these more immediate things that we see, what we did, and then we see the consequences, right? Okay, so to be a cultivator of Tao, then we should understand what this fate is, right? And it says here to set up fate's goal. Well, I mean, I would say maybe like it's establishing a new, or changing our destiny. Okay, we can determine our own destiny. Okay, despite the fact that we have these karmic influences from the past that affect, or you can say set up the conditions for this life, but we can still change things. All right, that's the key. If a person wants an unregrettable life or fate, then he first of all must cultivate himself, right? Because everyone has his own fate, and there is no need to envy others. Okay, that's the other thing. We should not compare with other people. Say, oh, why is this person? He has an easy life. Never gets sick. They're wealthy. Whatever. Again, that's everyone's karma is different, right? It depends on what we did in the past. So there's no need to compare ourselves or be envious of others. If we want, we should look up to, for example, the saints and sages and Buddhas, right? Look at them as good examples of role models to follow, rather than the mundane, the worldly, those who have power, those who have wealth, right? We shouldn't follow those examples. But if you want to follow an example or compare ourselves, we should try to compare to those who are more virtuous, and as a way to, you can say, to motivate ourselves to improve, to be better, right? So when a person encounters difficulties, he should cope with them with a peaceful mind. Yeah, so remember previous class, we need to have a calm mind, tranquil mind, not use emotions in dealing with matters, right? Because emotions tend to not solve problems. They in fact, they can make things worse when we use our emotions. So we should definitely try to have a calm and peaceful mind when we are dealing with things. Right, so especially like cannot have the anger, right? If a person has thoughts of hatred, then he will surely make complaints against heaven and blame others for his misfortune, right? So anger, hatred, complaining, having a grudge, say, that's because person doesn't understand why things are the way they are, right? So once we understand, so that's, part of all the learning is to understand these principles, so that that will help us get rid of the anger or hatred, right? So the blaming others. Once we understand, ultimately everything was self-caused, okay? So that we have no one to blame, really, except ourselves. So, yeah. However, the one who knows about fate would not make complaints against heaven, because to make complaints against it is to be without courage, well, it says here without courage. Basically, yeah, we're just trying to push the blame onto someone else. Okay, we're not willing to face our own, face ourselves. Face what we've done. Okay, the one who knows about himself will not make complaints against others, because to make complaints against others is to be destitute of mind. Therefore, since a person knows about fate, then he should set up his fate's goal. So once we understand, okay, so this is basically the cards that I'm dealt with, right? This is my fate, but what's the best that we can do with this? If we have like if we're not rich and we don't have that much money, obviously I cannot make much in terms of monetary, donations, that type of stuff, but I can do other things, right? So we should try to don't look at it and say, oh, I don't have money, so I can't donate, so I can't do any perform merits. Actually, merits, that's one type of merit, but there are many types of merits. So we have to look at those and make use of our ability. Everything in cultivation or in the practice of Tao is about doing things according to our ability, right? There's no one say, oh, you must give so much money or whatever, donate. It's not like that. We can donate in different ways, right? Of our time and effort, things like that. So that's. But first of all, what is our goal? What should be the goal that we have? Of course, the goal we want is to. Once we understand, well, the samsara, we're constantly reincarnating. If we keep creating karma, then ultimately we want to achieve nirvana, to transcend this cycle. Okay, that is the ultimate goal. You can say the spiritual goal. And so then once we know what the goal is, then we want to work towards that goal. So here, the meaning of setting up one's fate's goal is, as Mencius said, there is no distinction between longevity and a short maybe that's short life. And a person should cultivate himself no matter if he will be long or short-lived. This is called setting up one's fate's goals. So, should cultivate, yeah. So, yeah, again, the conditions, we should not look at the conditions and basically dependent on those conditions in terms of what our goal is, right? So even though maybe, I am, have an illness, disease, whatever, and maybe my life is going to be short, but I should still do my best to try to achieve the ultimate goal, right? Okay, so if God bestowed fewer blessings on me, I should face this condition by increasing my virtues. Yeah, so in other words, if there are these, well, it says when God bestows these things, but it's really, we kind of brought this on ourselves, but we can try to make up for it by, doing more in terms of our virtues or merits, okay? So that can make up for our kind of shortcomings in various ways. If God makes my body exhausted, I should release my mind to balance this condition. If God sends down misfortune upon me, I should pacify my life to get through this condition. So, this could also be talking about, like calamities, things that happen around us, okay, in our life. If God sets me in a bitter or tough environment, I should make my thoughts happy in order to cope with this condition, right? So this... in these cases where it says God is whatever doing stuff, it could also apply to tests, not just karma. Okay, so like tests, when tests and trials, tribulations occur in our lives, then we should try to again not blame God. Why are you doing this to me? Actually, we should always be grateful. Try to always be grateful, and we can look at things from a positive angle. Say, well, God is testing me, which not everyone can be tested. Okay, so the fact that God is testing me means that I'm worthy to be tested, right? That's the positive way to look at it, as opposed to saying, oh, why should I be tested? I don't want this difficulty. No, but this is showing that we are ready to go up to the next level. Okay, so that God that believes that we are worthy, that we can achieve the next level. So then you can say that then we can push ourselves more, right? So God always decides mankind's good fortune or bad, disasters or blessings, and mankind always decides for himself to be famous or infamous. So here, like, yeah, these things, we talk about fortune, good or bad, disasters, blessings. Again, these are, you say God decides it, but basically the natural law, the law of causality determines that. But of course, as humans kind of want, seek these other things, being famous, etc. And, depending on our actions, we can achieve, being famous or being infamous. Okay. So everyone can decide to establish this goal of fate and perform according to the Tao. All right. Thus, the one who wants to establish his fate's goal must get rid of bad fate and create good fate. The last step is to accomplish the goal of this fate. Okay. So, again, everything is really in our control. It's in our hands. What we decide to do, what kind of future we want, what kind of destiny do we want, right? So if we follow the principles of the Tao, follow the principles of these teachings, follow basically our virtues, then follow our conscience, then definitely we can change that bad fate and make it a good fate. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Okay. So now, that's kind of, I was talking about the fate. So now we talk about they translate using the soul. Okay. So a virtuous gentleman of ancient times once said, to accomplish one's fate's goal, one should cultivate one's soul. Okay. So therefore, the work of cultivating one's soul is to accomplish one's fate's goal, right? In order to accomplish one's fate's goal, one must cultivate both his blessings and wisdom. This is the meaning of accomplishing one's fate's goal. Blessings are the virtues of merit and happiness. There is a folk saying which says, although God can decide about human blessings and longevity, we should still do good deeds, whether or not our good works are known by others. Though fate can decide human prosperity, we can still obtain blessings through our own work and effort. Again, everything is within our control, depends on what we do. So, but cultivating the soul, I think probably in the Chinese is hui, right? It's talking about hui ming. Yeah. So basically, you can say the spiritual aspect, okay, as opposed to the, when it's talking about the blessings is kind of like the external aspect, okay. Yeah, fu wei sang xiu, right? So the fu is the blessings, right? So yeah, and then wisdom, okay. So basically, again, wisdom is the innate wisdom, come from our Buddha nature, right? So that is, we want to have the wisdom or the wisdom life, I guess, the life of wisdom, okay? But, today we are cultivating both. I mean, it doesn't mean, so in other words, we are not giving up the blessings or giving up, this mundane life entirely. So there is a balance, right? So because we talk about it's cultivating both, but the goal is not in the mundane aspect of it. Okay, that's not the goal. The real goal. The real goal. So now is the spiritual aspect. Okay, so that's where the real goal is. So in other words, so that's why the Buddhists and saints, they tell us, okay, so as long as you make enough money to live and comfortably, that's enough, right? There's no need to keep pursuing that and try to become a billionaire, right? Because then you're going to spend all your time and effort doing that, and then you're not going to really have any time to cultivate the spiritual aspect and achieve that spiritual goal. Okay, so there's a balance, and so don't go too far in the mundane stuff, in the worldly stuff. Okay, so decide. Okay, So again, no matter what our situation is, we can always cultivate that spiritual aspect. Okay, so it's really not dependent on our material means, things like that. Those material blessings. So, like I said earlier, performing merits, right? It's not just material contribution, right? There's other ways to contribute. Smiling, right? Smiling every day to people, saying good words, kind words, encouraging words, right? These are all merits, as long as it's benefiting others, okay, in some way, right? So a person's meritorious virtue has the power to allow one to someday go back to heaven, and one's unpublicized good deeds or virtues have the power to change one's predestined life. See, so to do publicized good deeds is called doing yang good deeds, visible good deeds, and to do unpublicized good deeds is called doing yin good deeds, or the invisible good deeds. All right, the repayment of yang good deeds is to gain fame, but the repayment of yin good deeds will be given by God as these basically blessings, right? So we're not doing things, performing merits to gain recognition, right? To let people know, oh, I've done something good, because that's the publicized good deeds. And there's, I don't know, I guess it's been said also that the publicized good deeds is not worth as much, quote unquote, as the ones that are unpublicized and people don't know about, okay? So, why? Because when we publicize it, we're getting recognition. So that's part of the repayment. So it's discounting the actual, merits. So we would rather that we get retain all the merits, right? And so we should do things without publicizing it or announcing it, right? So wisdom is the ability to realize one's own mission in life and to awaken from the phenomenal world. So wisdom, ultimately, we need to awaken that wisdom that's within us. We all have that wisdom. Again, we have to kind of break out or think outside the box. The box is that our conscious mind, and based on all our knowledge and what we've learned, somehow we have to kind of somehow break out of that and let go in ways, also let go of that, because we tend to have either biases or we are very attached to our way of thinking, things like that. So we have to let go of that for that wisdom to come out, okay? And then sometimes you might think that it's kind of scary, it's like, don't think about anything. I don't need to think. And then how do I know what to do in a situation if I don't think about it or don't know? But really, our Buddha nature, that wisdom, is very marvelous. It can guide us no matter what the situations that I've never encountered before will just guide us to do what's proper, what's right. Okay, so we shouldn't be afraid, okay, to let go of our, this attachments, conscious attachments, all right? So Buddha emphasized real self and real enlightenment, okay? That's the true self and true enlightenment, okay? If a person enlightens himself, he can then set free himself from the entanglement of karma. But when a person gets confused about his fate's goal, then his life is arranged by fate, right? So that's why we come to the temple, we learn the teachings of the Buddhas and saints, because they taught us how to not be confused, okay, so that we can become enlightened, we can free ourselves from karma, okay, our karmic fates, right? Okay, so when a person's life is suffused with blessings, he will produce righteous karma. That is pure and clean karma. A righteous fate for his life, righteous words in his speaking, righteous progress and goodness, and elimination of evil. Right? If a person is possessed of great wisdom, he will produce righteous viewpoints in his life, righteous composure, I guess, within the phenomenal world, righteous thoughts in his mind, and righteous thinking about life. Right? Thus, when a person has a righteous mind, he will become a Buddha. But when a person has an evil mind, he becomes the devil, okay? So, I mean, you say they're kind of opposites, okay? So righteous, proper thinking. So that's why the Eightfold Path, or even, that, right, in the Eightfold Path, right, the proper or the right thinking, the right views, right perspective, right, on things. So we have to know that what those are. That will guide our thinking, our mindset, okay, to be on the righteous side, right? So when a person is lenient, let's see, he or she will be a bodhisattva, right? Sin is like a voracious devil. But to be a bodhisattva, one must cultivate both blessings and wisdom. A cultivator will shun the course of calamity and veer toward the course of good fortune. These are also the good points of cultivating oneself, according to Tao, and the goals of cultivating both blessings and wisdom. Okay, so, right, a bodhisattva, right, is someone who's basically vowed, you can say, made a vow to still be in this world to help guide other sentient beings to the path of enlightenment. Okay, so obviously being in this world means that we still have to deal with this world in ways, in the material ways. And so that's why it's based cultivating both blessings and the wisdom. Okay, so it's not just the spiritual, but there's also a mundane aspect. Okay, so as a cultivator, we can basically avoid the calamities, and because of our merits and our virtues. Okay, so those are things that can change our fate, and if let's say based on our karma that maybe there are some calamities that we would befall upon us, but we can change that. Or if we, maybe those aren't necessarily part of our individual karma, but maybe it's like maybe a collective thing. So like this country is, or this area is, just like, we have there's tornadoes or whatever, hurricanes, or, even war, or whatever, flooding, right, that happens in a regional area. You can say that may not be individual karma, but collective karma, group karma. Okay, so, but if we cultivate ourselves, then we can also avoid those. Okay, all right. Okay, so, in terms of the future goals, to pursue an object with determination is the root of establishing respectable achievement. To be free of desires is the basis of being a saint. So obviously we need to have that determination, that resolve, that will to want to achieve some goal. Okay. And so only when we have that will or determination, then can we have achievement. Okay. Make that achievement. Right. And then so to be free of desires also is being a saint. So we have to stop. I mean, these are desires basically of, the material world. Okay, fame, fortune, all those things. So we should not have too many desires in that area. One's will should flow eternally, right? Even the highest mountain and the broadest ocean cannot restrain it. So that's, that's very, it's very lofty, but it's, where there's a will, there's a way, right? And so as long as we have that will, no matter how big the obstacle, how difficult the situation, we can always get through it, right? It's very amazing. Okay. One's will should be able to penetrate everything, and there will be no army which can defend against it, right? So again, you can move mountains, okay? Okay, from now on, you should always keep faith about the Tao. So, the part of it is having the faith as well. So if we have a very strong faith, that will kind of give us that strength, the internal strength to be able to achieve what we want to achieve. So should always keep the faith about the Tao, accomplish the great business. This great business, of course, is the the universal salvation, right, of the three realms, strength, and of course, personally, for us to attain the Tao in the end as well, strengthen your volition and complete your great wills. Okay, so, or you can also say complete our vows too, right? We could also make vows that we need to fulfill our vows. Okay, so basically, yeah, this section saying there's basically we have that faith, got karmic fate, but we know that we can change it, okay, and then so we can take control of our own destiny, and basically we do that through cultivation, and then so cultivation is both the internal and external, right, aspects of cultivation, the kind of the blessings and also the wisdom aspects, all right. Okay, but then our goal should be to transcend this continuous cycle of birth, death, rebirth, through creating, because we create karma, right? So we should avoid that as much as possible. Hope, hope to become like a Buddha, become a Buddha, all right? Although we should be bodhisattva first and try to help others, and not say, oh, be selfish and say, I want to transcend. I don't care about anyone else. Okay, so we should be a bodhisattva. So we should, knowing that there is this path to transcend all this mundane stuff, this suffering, bitter sea, that we can also help other people, guide them to that, to achieve the same goal, right? Okay. That's that, and then I think. Oh, okay, yeah. There's only one other thing that's after that, which is I might as well talk about this since it's only very short. So it says in this chapter 11, the great words, Alex, the great words of Jigong Living Buddha. All right. So to purify one's mouth can cause the karma from one's previous births to cease and enable one to be a freed Buddha. Probably Zizai, I guess. Probably what is the Chinese one is. Basically liberated. Yeah, say liberated. So to purify one's mouth. Okay, so obviously that means two things. Purifying, of course, what we eat, what goes into our mouth. So being vegetarian or vegan, right? That's very important. So that we don't constantly create that karma, that karmic debts, accumulate that karmic debts with other sentient beings. The other is what comes out of our mouth, right? It should be kind words, things like that, good stuff. We don't get angry. That we're encouraging words. Then we can create basically, that's also merits, as opposed to, we can also create bad karma and demerits from what we say. So we have to be careful what we say. So that's really kind of one of the things that we have to do to kind of break out of this cycle. Okay. To ferry or guide people to the way of heaven can help remove the sentient beings from bitterness of life and enable one to be a lenient. What was the Chinese in that? Lenient, the second one. Lenient Buddha.
That's today, right?
Is it today?
What's the Chinese?
The Chinese, let me.
Lenient means not too strict.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that one's supposed to be Zibei. I don't know. But it's very okay. So.
Huang or Huang Da, no? Huang Long. Not Huang Long.
I mean, I guess partly is that to ferry or guide us, be willing to help other people, all sentient beings, to achieve, to leave this bitter sea. Then of course we have to be. We have to broaden, magnanimous, being more magnanimous. That's probably to be more magnanimous, not be selfish, or even, we have to broaden our circle, broaden our heart, mind, to be able to accommodate everyone, right? To let everyone achieve
Generous.
that goal. Okay.
Generous.
So, okay, to be a preacher can help others cease doubting about, or preacher or teacher can help others cease their doubting about the Tao and make them have faith in the Tao and enable one to be a wise Buddha. Okay, so again, we want to try to, that's another form, we have to try to talk to people about the principles, let them understand the principles, understand this truth, understand what Tao is. Then that's, he says, is a wise Buddha. Okay. And so that, because a lot of people, well, first of all, they're kind of like two different people. One set is the people who have not received the Tao, for example, then of course, then the other people who are, maybe they just received the Tao, but they still, confused, and they have their own views of things, and they think, oh, this is like religious practice, whatever. So we have to let them understand that it's different, and that, right, to let them have a more better or truer understanding of what Tao is, so that they can have that faith to continue to cultivate along this path. Okay, because a lot of people, they, because of whether their biases or what they understand of things, that they may have received the Tao, but then they go back to their own religious practice or whatever. Okay, so that's, we have to try to help them understand, why they should cultivate in the Tao, right? Then to set up a sanctuary, which is, a temple, can form good affinity with all sentient beings and enable one to be an auspicious Buddha. All right, so basically, temple is where people can receive the Tao, and usually that's where we have classes, so people can learn, and also where people can come and also perform merits, things like that. Of course, merits, it can be anywhere, but in the temple, there are also things that need to be done. But the key here is that we can establish affinity with sentient beings. So so the idea is actually, if we establish a home temple, let's say a family temple, that, it should not be, it cannot be, it really shouldn't be exclusive. Say, oh, I only want certain people to come to allow them to come to my temple. Okay, we really cannot have that kind of, because that's, again, you're already differentiating, and we're biased against certain people, because the temple is really, it's God's temple. Okay, it's not our personal thing. Okay, right. So that's one of the key. That's an important understanding that we should have. Okay, to be a pioneer for Tao can disseminate Tao. Okay, propagate Tao, or the gospel, if you will. Okay, to different places in the world and enable one to be a Buddha of meritorious virtues. Right. So the pioneering aspect, again, spreading the Tao to other places that, the Tao that doesn't exist. That is, well, there's a lot of merit to that, of course, because then we have to overcome fear. We have to overcome a lot of things, including, the environment, the conditions as well. So I don't know if you saw the pictures this morning of, how of our temple in Cambodia and how they're propagating the Tao and stuff like that. The conditions are pretty poor over there. Okay, and so that's, so we have to overcome get out of our comfort zone. I mean, where you feel, this is comfortable. I don't want to go beyond that. But to pioneer the Tao, usually we have to get out of our comfort zone to do that. So that's why you can say there's, quote unquote, there's more merit to that. Okay. To work and serve people in the sanctuary can make one modest and humble. Work with one's full effort and enable one to be a vivacious Buddha. Okay, so okay, yeah. So
lively.
lively, yeah. Right. In the temple, of course, we're not the boss, right? We tend to we get instructions. We should do what to do. But yeah, it's something that we have to be modest and humble. Learn to be modest and humble. Don't think, I know this. I don't need to do this. So that's why when we perform things, merits or tasks that no one else wants to do, they feel that they're above that. Like maybe cleaning bathrooms, these like kind of lowly things that we think of, there's more merit in that when no one wants to do it, right? Just like it's in society, same thing, right? No one wants to collect garbage, and so they're pretty high paying to attract people, right? So the same thing, you get more merits for doing things that no one wants to do in the temple. So,
Now you're seeing more young people doing that.
yeah, young people. Well, maybe they need more money, make more money. I don't know.
It's a big thing in the sanitation. They have one of the best, what you call it,
Benefits.
benefits
Yeah.
than health plans and so forth, and any other.
Yeah, again, you have to attract. You have to give them an incentive, right? Because no one wants to do it. So again, in the temple, same thing. We should not just I like to do this, so I just do this, and I don't do the other stuff. So we should try to do the things that no one wants to do. And when we do things, perform the task, perform the work, that we should do it with wholeheartedly. Do it with not doing it and complaining or inside our mind really having complaints. We should not do it that way. Sometimes I kind of do that. It's like I'm always cleaning. I seem to like always be cleaning up after people. It's like they leave a mess, and I have to clean up. And in my mind, I complaining. I have to stop doing that, because if we do that, we complain, then our merits again are discounted by a lot. Or there might not be any merits at all.
You just do it.
Yeah. Or it might be negative, demerits. So it depends. So we just do it no matter what. It's like, oh, okay.
It's not easy.
It's not easy to do.
Because we're brought up in that environment. That's the problem.
Yeah.
So it's a habit.
Yeah. You have to.
It makes it task harder to
It-
if you do that because not wanting to do it.
Yeah, it does make it harder to. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not so much of a complaint; it's like a disgust. You say, how could somebody?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Right.
So,
Right. But yeah, I mean, that's hard. Yeah. So we have to be aware,
So
mindful.
that's why it's being by natural.
Right.
That's what we mean by natural. 如是. You just the way it is.
Right.
Just do it. I mean,
Right.
Don't even think about it.
Yeah, so right. That's why it should be unconditional for the most part. It's like we just this is what I'm supposed to do. I just do it without
You have
any
a-
thoughts.
You have a task at hand.
Right.
Or anything. Right. 事 right 事应事来则应.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Things come up.
Right.
Things come
Just
up.
deal with the matter at hand.
Deal with it, and then that's it.
And then let it
That's
go. Let it
And then
go.
Forget about it afterwards.
Let it go,
That's
yeah,
it.
right.
Wow.
Yeah, that's hard. It's hard to do.
Yeah, but that's the
Um,
most fundamental basic, right? Dhamma Sutra says that, right?
And definitely don't get emotions involved, because that just makes it
that's
worse.
worse.
Yeah, that's worse. You maybe have thoughts, but the emotions are even worse when they get involved. So.
a way to look at it is like a duty that needs to be done.
Yeah, if we feel that this is my duty, I'm supposed to do it.
Responsibility,
Right.
right? That's part of the 15 rules.
Yeah, right.
Take responsibility.
Right.
It's for you to do. You see it, you just
Yeah,
do it.
right. Yeah, because I saw the holy teacher said about the three forms of giving, right? The one is the material, one is time and effort, the other one is what we generally say it's like everything else,
Everything
but
else
it's actually
besides the first.
yeah, but I mean that says basically it's fearless. Well, the word is fearless,
Yeah.
fearless
Or
giving,
awe-inspiring.
or all-inspiring giving. Yeah, so it's basically it's doing the things that. Oh well,
Nobody else wants
well,
to do
yeah,
it.
that's part of it, but you say it's automatic, so that we see something. Oh, there's a dirty spot on the floor, and I see it. And I should just do it. Don't think, oh, that's not my duty. That's not my responsibility. Or who did that, right? No, it's just, oh, I see it, then I just go clean it up.
Probably the reason that you saw it and nobody else.
It's for you. Yeah, it was meant for you to clean up. Right.
For you to
Yeah, right. So it's better not to be aware, right? so just I didn't see it. No, actually, well, no. So that's why if we're aware, then we see these things and we notice it and we do it. Hey, that's more merit for me, right? You can think of it that way. More merit. Well, I mean, we shouldn't think of that. We shouldn't think of the merit. Okay, it just needs to be done, right? That's really what Tao is. Okay, so it's not like so that's the Wu way, the no motive, no intention aspect. It just should be done. Okay, right?
Once you did it, you forget about it.
Yeah. So no attachment, non-attachment to these things either.
Just don't think about it.
Right. So, oh, I had to clean this up, and then okay, so you did it, but then in the meeting you brought up, hey, why did I have to clean that up? So that's.
Anyway.
I mean, no, there is something good about that. I mean, it raises the awareness for people. I mean, so sometimes we do have to do that, but we still have to let it go, right? Don't be too attached to constantly thinking, yeah, why people still like leaving a mess, right? So yeah. So this cultivation is, if you want to say it is easy. I mean, in principle, it's easy, but in practice, there are many things that we have to overcome in our own mind, heart and mind to achieve it. So that's what cultivation is all about, right? So it's this process, and it's not going to be achieved in one day, like we said earlier. So it's a whole lifetime, probably many lifetimes. Okay, yeah, it's just like the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas took many lifetimes to achieve that. But don't let that put us off, right? Say, oh, I can't achieve that. That's impossible. That's how long it's going to take. We just do what we can, do our best. That's what heaven is looking at, whether we have that we put in the sincere effort, okay? That is really what is the most important thing. Not the ultimate achievement, what we've actually materially achieved in this life, but really the fact that we want to do it, and we do our best, and we're sincere about it, and that we will continue to do it in the future, whatever it takes, okay? That's what ultimately will lead to our achieving that final goal. Okay. So, any questions or other discussion? That's the end of this shower of wisdom.
You have one. I like to share something.
Oh, sure.
You have time?
Are they? Oh, okay. They're preparing for. Okay. All right.
This is a story for about our grand predecessor, and it's from the lecture that was discussed. It was mentioning the Jiangxi's tape. So our grand predecessor, while he was alive, he somehow when grand predecessor and Liu Jiangxi lived together for a little bit at Fusan, right? That's the place that they lived, and they shared. I guess, a living space. They live next to each other. So the grand predecessor, sometimes he will walk to the living room and start moving furnitures around. Okay, he moved furnitures around here and there, here and there. So, and when Liu Jiangxi, Lecturer Liu, right, he saw that, he didn't ask question, he just followed him. He just he first wondered, what is he doing? So but he didn't ask him. He just followed him, moving things around, just move things around. And after a while, he couldn't stand it. He had to ask him, why are you moving things around from time to time? And then grand predecessor told him, well, we want to be able to not be attached or not be tied up with how things are in front of you.
How they're arranged.
It's supposed to be the other way, that the things should go what your heart or mind want them to be.
So there's no form.
Right.
No fixed
So
form.
instead of speaking it to him, in the part of the cultivation, he does it with his action.
Just showing
Showing
it.
him,
Example.
this is what we don't want to be tied up or be arranged by our fate. Okay, so it needs to be the other way around. It goes with what our heart and mind want it to be, not because of this and then changes your heart and mind.
Right. That's good. Teaching by example.
Yes.
Right. So.
Very interesting.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So, all right. Let's see what else.
And you guys know, especially when we have this feng shui, right?
Yeah.
Feng shui thing, that very often
Oh, right,
limit
right.
how
What?
people can be very narrow-minded. Like, oh, because this, I was told by this fortune teller I can't do this,
Right.
right? And then you don't even like interested in finding out why can't I do this or why can't you do this? So it's important not to get stuck with feng shui and then 五行.
Right.
Well, yes, we are.
Right.
Unfortunately, we are in this 五行.
Right. The 5 elements or whatever. The
But
forms.
we still need to try to get out of it.
Yeah. So yeah, most people I mean, it's the easy way, I guess, is to someone tells this is the way, the flow of things, and then you have to go with that. But then that's most people they follow that, and then so of course they're just following their karmic fate, so they can't change their fate, their karmic fate as a result of that. They just follow whatever they say. This is the way. So this is being a Buddha or as a cultivator, it's different. So we want to change that. So we shouldn't not necessarily follow these things, what fortune teller tell us or what the feng shui master says, that, it has to be this arrangement. We have to overcome that. Yeah.
But but if someone is actually studying like the 5 elements and all that the feng shui stuff, then they want to have this here, have the face here, and so forth. And then how are you gonna decide if you should or should not? Because next thing, because we are thinking of, it says cultivating your faith, right? So it says have faith. Cultivating
To a certain extent.
Yeah, there's
your faith goal.
yeah.
Your faith goal. So sometimes some things are at certain places and if you're not sure, you don't have the guidance to determine whether you should or should not.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Yeah, there's certain things. I mean, we should not disregard it totally, right? Because it can have an influence, right? But it depends, again, on our cultivation and our merits and virtues. So of course, maybe if we're just starting out, maybe we haven't cultivated much, then maybe it has a greater influence on us. And so we might have to take that into consideration. But as we cultivate more and we more established with our virtues and our more merits, then we can kind of break out of that and not be tied down to that. Okay, and then so those things will have less influence over our lives, and our fate. So yeah, it's not it's not entirely. We should just ignore those feng shui things. Yeah.
A lot of people have a lot of suspicions, So because I'm walking on the street and a cat run across the road and the person just turned back and went inside the walk, or change side of the street.
Yeah. Well, those are superstitions, though. Those are superstitions. Yeah. I mean, yeah. But
When Lao Charan was moving stuff around, does he constantly move it, or does he just move one location and then goes back and does another, move to another location or something?
I think he was just moving things around. It doesn't move. He doesn't necessarily move it back, but he'll change positions of how things are arranged in the room. So it's not always a chair on this end.
Right.
It's not always table on this end. So he will, replace the locations.
And then does he move it back? Or
Didn't mention if he moved it back, but just because he wanted to have it to happen, so he did it. Okay.
yeah, I do that sometimes.
Working with his heart.
I want to say something about superstition and the power of your mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you walk on that ladder, they say that's bad luck. Some people believe that so much that they could actually attract bad luck.
Yes, that happens. Yeah. I mean, if you believe something very much, it can happen. All right. So even if it's what we call superstition, I mean, that our mind is very powerful.
Yeah.
It has this energy, this chi, and it attracts energy. And so, maybe normally nothing would happen, but because we keep thinking that, it's going to attract that, and then it's going to cause something to happen. Okay, so it becomes self-fulfilling. Okay, so that's why
So you
these.
can flip that around and use the reverse and attract.
Yeah, so that's why. So yeah, that's the negative side. So we want to be positive. If we think positive things like that, that can attract the positive things. So that can help us, right? So that's why Buddhists always tell us, yeah, you should always think positive. Right. So yeah, because our mind is very powerful. Well, its mind is from the Buddha nature, and so the Buddha nature is all powerful. So it can cause things to happen.
Yeah, we're talking about one thought is one, what? Don't play.
Yeah, one's a seed of reincarnation, really. So yeah.
Thought. Think about that. It's really scary. But
Yeah.
It's one thought, yeah.
Just that one thought.
Right. So we have to be very careful what we think. Ideally, we don't think, no thoughts. That's the right. We let go of all, not give rise to a single thought. Right. So that's the ultimate. But if we do have those thoughts, we have to let them go. Right. Don't become attached to them, because sometimes I think this. I thought that, but then it's like, I don't want to have to come back because of this. So it's like, well, I'll just try to get rid of that.
Right, that's a way to do it. Please stop it.
Yeah. So, okay. So, if there's nothing else, then we can finish up here. Okay. So, so that's the end of the Shower of Wisdom. And if I have said anything wrong or not well, I ask the Buddhas and saints and everyone else forgiveness, and also transmitters and lecturers for corrections. Thank you.